Each of the counties will have received the monies that have been specified.
Senator Sifuna.
Yes,
The
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senator Chirange wishes to inform you.
I reject in total that offer. Mr. Speaker,
What is your point of order, Senator Boni?
Mr. Speaker, you've heard severally. I'm rising on standing order number 105. The senator for Nairobi speak to a misleading statement that the amount which was allocated in Dora bill, there was no increment. Yes. Mr. Speaker, the second falsehood is alleging here is that there's a delay in the disbursement of funds. And yet, Mr. Speaker, as late as last week, there was no single county with an arrears. In fact, last week, Mr. Speaker, 32 billion shillings was disbursed. Is he in order to mislead the House, knowing that Dora, that we passed here, raised the money from 370 billion to 385.3 billion, and that all the arrears that had been accumulated by the handshake BBI government was cleared? Is he in order?
Senator Sifuna, kindly be factual in your comments.
Mr. Speaker, it is a fact that the 15 billion shillings additional that is going to the counties was passed not by the Senate, but by the National Assembly. In the Green Bill that came before this House, that money had been allocated by the National Assembly. We as a Senate did not add a single shilling. Our own committee, Mr. Speaker, I must be heard in silence. This cannot continue. This cannot continue.
Order, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. If I hear the senator correctly, he said that the Senate did adopt the bill as it came from the National Assembly.
Correct.
And that is factual.
Yes. That is factual, Mr. Speaker. Can I proceed?
What is your point of order, Senator Boni?
Mr. Speaker, according to the Constitution of Kenya, the Dora bill cannot be signed into law without the concurrence of the two houses. Mr. Speaker, is the senator for Nairobi in order to mislead the country that by us agreeing with the National Assembly, we were failing in our responsibility, and yet we were meeting the constitutional threshold that expects that for Dora to become law, it should need the concurrence of the two houses, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion on this point of order, I'm tired and sick of new senators in this House giving the impression that we don't know what we are doing, we are not up to the task. We have worked, Mr. Speaker, and we want our constituents to appreciate us much. I don't earn a free salary.
If I heard Senator Sifuna make his comments, this is what he said. That the Senate adopted the figure as passed by the National Assembly. So there was concurrence of the figure between the two houses, which is factual. So I don't see why then there is a big problem there, Senator Boni. The two houses concurred that the figure to increase by the 15 billion from last year's allocation. Where is the problem here? Senator Sifuna, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want the conscience of all of us to eat us in our sleep and in our waking for the decisions that we take on this floor, Mr. Speaker. And I am happy and I will not tire to remind that in fact, Mr. Speaker, there is a second limb to the facts that we have alluded to here, that our own committee our own Committee on Finance and Budget, on the advice of the Commission of Revenue Allocation, did propose to this House that instead of the 385 given by the National Assembly, we as a Senate should go with the figure of 407. That is also a fact. That question of 407 or 385 was put to us as a Senate, as a House, as individual senators elected to get every single coin we can for our counties. 22 of my colleagues, whose conscience you can see is knowing at them, voted against 407 billion shillings. Let their conscience eat them until the day that I die. But you will not run away from a vote that you took. Nobody forced you to vote in that particular manner.
What is the point of order, Senator Chirange? And as you raise your point of order, please.
Mr. Speaker, is it in order? I'm raising under...
Chirange, I'm speaking.
Okay.
As you stand to raise your point of order, please use parliamentary language. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, is it in order? And I rise under Standing Order 105 and under Article 93 of the Constitution of Kenya, where it defines Parliament as National Assembly and Senate. Is it in order for Senator Sifuna to continue misleading Kenyans by now shifting goalposts between 407 and 370 billion, Mr. Speaker? Yet for us, who have been in this House long enough, note that it was an increment of 15.3 billion from 370 to 385.3 billion, Mr. Speaker. Is it in order, can Senator Sifuna confirm to the country that there was an increment to allocation to the counties through Dora Bill, Mr. Speaker?
Well, Senators, let us stop this hand-pecking exercise on these figures. The position is, as Parliament, Senator Eddy, this is the position. The bill that went to the President for assent is a bill of Parliament because it was processed in both houses. Yes. Yes. And upon being assented to, it became an act of Parliament. Yes. Meaning, yes, whatever increment of the monies as compared to last year is an effort, was a collective decision of both houses. That's why it's an act of Parliament. I don't know why we are still arguing on these very basic facts. Can you allow Senator Sifuna to conclude his comments in silence, please?
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I know is that I am required to comply with the standing orders in my debate. I have stated matters of fact. If those facts are things you are uncomfortable with, that is your own funeral. But I must state the facts as I know them. Mr. Speaker, let me proceed by saying...
Senator Sifuna, are you saying if the chair is uncomfortable with those facts, then the chair should...
No, I'm addressing you because I don't want to address the people who
Senator
are in
Sifuna,
discomfort.
Just take to your comments, please.
Mr. Speaker...
Senator Chirange and Senator Boni, allow the senator to conclude his comments, please.
Mr. Speaker, if there is unparliamentary language that I have used, you need to point it out. I am just saying.
Senator
yes.
Senator Sifuna, indeed you've used unparliamentary language to the extent.
Which one?
To the extent that you've said for those who voted against, let their conscience eat. I think the Hansard will...
Mr. Speaker, that is not unparliamentary. That is linguistic gymnastics, which I'm allowed to perform on this particular
I know exactly what you're saying. So going forward, Senator Sifuna, refrain from using unparliamentary language.
Mr. Speaker, I am going to find the most flowery language to describe what happened on this House. When the vote for division of revenue was put...
Can the senator be heard in silence? Senator Chirange, proceed.
When the vote was put here, you had an option to vote yes, to agree with the committee, just like we have been asked. Under this particular... Mr. Speaker, can I please be heard in silence? Please.
You've raised your concern. Senator Sifuna, our standing orders provide very clearly on how you should refer to your colleagues. You refer them as honorable senators. There are no people here, there are no guys here. We have honorable senators.
I apologize for that, Mr. Speaker. I am going to look for the most flowery language to remind the distinguished senators on the majority side that your conscience will follow you and the decisions that you take on this floor are public. Mr. Speaker, we have another opportunity. There is another report of the Finance Committee here. I would actually not be surprised if people, again, take the decision that they took during the debate on the Division of Revenue Act. Mr. Speaker,
I have just
please.
told you, Senator Sifuna, do not use the word people. Refer them to honorable senator. That is the requirement of the standing order.
Mr. Speaker,
How would you feel if your colleague refer you as?
But I am people. I am people. Mr. Speaker, it is not offensive language.
Order, Senator. Senator Sifuna, take your seat. Senator Sifuna, kindly take your seat. Senator Sifuna, you're not going to start a debate with the chair. You know exactly what amounts? It amounts to a disorderly conduct. And the consequences are very clear. You're a person, you're a people. But that is the language that is allowable outside the doors of these chambers. As long as you're in this chamber, you shall refer to your colleagues as honorable senators. Kindly proceed. What is your point of order, Senator Bond?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order number 122, and Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to read, that speaks to disorderly conduct. Yes. Number 1B, a senator who declines to retract the use of unparliamentary language or declines to offer apologies despite having been ordered to do so by the Speaker is engaged in disorderly conduct. Mr. Speaker, I cannot be voted for by 300,000 people in Kakamega, and Mr. Speaker, I come here and be made a figure of the kind of picture that the Honorable Senator for Nairobi is painting. We need to call him on order unless, Mr. Speaker, you want to allow this House to degenerate into a fist fight. If you allow me as a bullfighter, I'll fix him here and now, and it will be sorted out. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Boni, that Senator Mogeni, have your seat. Senator Sifuna, have your seat. Sit down, Senator Sifuna. Senator Boni, that is unparliamentary. You have to withdraw it. Senator Sifuna, when I brought up the issue of how to address his colleagues, he proceeded to withdraw that. He did withdraw, unless you're not keen. Senator Boni, you were doing very well until you brought out your character of bullfighting.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
Senator Boni, you cannot threaten to fix honorable senators on the floor of this House. Kindly proceed to withdraw that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to confirm, as I withdraw and apologize to the House, that this is not the place to fix him, and I would never fix him in this House. But if he gives me an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, outside this House,
there, Senator
we cannot allow.
Just leave it there.
Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow small voice.
Senator Boni, have your seat. Now, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. We have such an important order to prosecute before us. We have such an important matter to prosecute before us. We are wasting a lot of time on what I will term, Senator Mogeni, you shut up, the chair is speaking. I have not given you the opportunity to speak. Senator Mogeni, you're out of order and I'm calling you to order. Then wait for the chair to give you that opportunity. You persist, you know exactly what will befall you. Now, honorable senators, we have such an important matter before us. We are taking a lot of time, seriously on frivolous, if I will say, points of order. Senator Sifuna, the way you're making your comments, you're inviting unnecessary points of order. You're making good points, but there's a way you can put them across without necessarily having to attract the kind of points of order. Stop throwing jabs. Go straight to your comments, make your comments, let's conclude this business.